Everybody loves to talk about the differences between old school RuneScape and RuneScape 3, but not that many people talk about the differences between RuneScape Classic and old school RuneScape. Mainly because I think that most of our generation grew up playing RuneScape 2, and then eventually transitioned into RuneScape 3. You saw that real life divide that really just hurt the community in a way that most people just quit. At least for me personally, I never got the chance to experience the RuneScape Classic to RuneScape 2 shift, and for the first time I got the chance to play RuneScape Classic, and let me tell you, there were some differences I was not expecting. Of course, apart from like the graphical updates and everything, but when it comes to performing certain actions that are normally considered AFK in RuneScape, every single action is performed independently. So what I mean by that is that, you know how in RuneScape, you want to go fishing and you just click on the little fishing spot and your character just starts fishing until either the fishing spot moves or you just ran out of inventory space? Well, that doesn't happen. Because in RuneScape Classic, what happens is that you try to fish, and if you succeed, awesome. And if you fail, that cancels all your animations. You have to basically re-click over and over again just to get another action performed. The same thing happens with woodcutting, right? Because with woodcutting, there's a chance that you can slip and fall and it just cancels your entire actions. It's very click intensive. That's like the one thing I noticed about RuneScape Classic, like right off the bat. It's very click intensive. But another thing that I found really interesting was the combat system. It's like the algorithm that determines whether you land a hit or not. It's just whack, dude. I was playing it on stream and I was trying to kill cows and I was just getting murdered non-stop by the cows. I couldn't kill cows, I couldn't kill goblins. I felt like I had to go through an entire inventory of food just to get like 2 cow kills. I do admit I was in the lower levels, you know, I was like level 5 attack, level 3 strength, you know, you're starting off, right? You're starting off, but for some reason in those beginner levels, the combat system is very punishing, I guess. At least I know that if you're starting off, don't go for the cows, don't go for the goblins, you gotta go kill the chickens. That's the thing you gotta do. If you go straight for the chickens are still as weak as they've ever been. And that leads me to the next point, which is experience gaining. So you know how in old school RuneScape you gain experience in combat? Every single hit translates into experience, but in RuneScape Classic, you only get the chunk of experience after the monster's killed. If you're like me and you don't figure that out right away, you'll be fighting cows non-stop. You'll be dying to cows, and then you'll be like, why am I not leveling up? I'm dealing damage, I can't confirm the kills, but I'm dealing damage. What's going on here? Again, go kill the chickens, don't kill the goblins, don't kill the cows, go kill the chickens. And to keep talking about the combat system, because that's one of the things I found just the most jarring. Whenever you get into a fight with someone, you're not allowed to run away from the fight for the first 3 hits. And that can either be pretty cool or pretty upsetting, especially if you're going for, let's say you want to do waterfall quest at a very low level, which I tried to do, and I failed miserably. If you start combat with something that's like 20 levels higher than you, you can't just, well, I got hit once, let me keep running and running and running. No. You have to stay for the fight for those 3 hits, and then you can run away. And if you're going against the wolves in White Wolf Mountain, and you're just a level 5, you're not gonna make it. You're really not gonna make it. And also, after you get those 3 hits and you're allowed to run away from the fight, you're just allowed to leave. Like, the combat stops entirely. You just click away, walk away, and if it's like a goblin, for example, that it's not inherently aggressive towards you, they just take it. They're just like, whoop, I got hit. See you later. So that's basically the most jarring first impression from like the combat system itself in RuneScape Classic. Other things that I found really interesting are the banking system. Very confusing at first, but once you kind of get the hang of it, you're like, oh yeah, that's how it works. You gotta like read the numbers next to the item to go like, wait, is this stack on my inventory or is this stack on the bank? Just the whole interaction of trading items between you and the NPC and the game itself is kind of, the interface, it just looks funny. It just looks funny, that's all I'll say. And another thing I found really frustrating at first, but then again I realized, wait, I don't ever use this in the actual game either. So you go into RuneScape Classic, you go to the quests, which is under the skills tab for some reason, and there's no guides. It doesn't tell you where you can start it. It doesn't give you like, hey, you've done this, you've done this, you've done this. Yeah, you should probably go check this out, maybe, you know? There's nothing, there's no sense of direction. So even doing Cook's Assistant, I started Cook's Assistant the quest, which is obviously everyone starts Cook's Assistant, right? And I was just kind of speed running through the chat options. I was like, yeah, whatever, click buttons, right? And then after that, I was like, okay, fine, I'll just go into the quest guide, let me see what I'm supposed to do. But that also translates to like other more complex quests as well. Just imagine doing Heroes quests or Legends quests, and all you have is chat prompts and no guide. That would suck. That would really suck. So apart from everything that I've already mentioned, a couple of minor things, honestly. The bronze armor really looks like poop, and that's weird. The full bronze set makes you look like a walking turd. And on the topic of armor, gloves, you can't wear gloves with plate bodies. I found that so confusing, because apparently plate bodies already come with gloves in them. So gloves are meant to be used with chain bodies. So it's kind of interesting that there's that difference between the two of them. Because when you go to like old school RuneScape, chain bodies are basically worthless, right? Because why wear that when you can just wear the plate body, which is a superior product? But in RuneScape Classic, it kind of makes sense, you know, because the chain body allows you to wear gloves. So there's a bit of like modification you can do there that you just don't get with the plate body. But the one thing I will say was the most jarring difference I've ever seen in the world of RuneScape between one game and the other is the fact that the community itself was very tight-knit. You know, there's a lot of talking, there's a lot of like trading, there's no grand exchange, so you kind of just have to go like, hey, you guys want to buy this? That kind of aspect, I know it's been lost in RuneScape for a lot of years now because everyone's just too focused on efficiency, everyone's just too focused on leveling up. That whole idea of just, hey, let me just talk with the boys, hang out, hey, how's everyone doing? You don't see that in RuneScape as much as you see it in RuneScape Classic. So that idea of just being able to just talk, hang out, and be like, hey, I'm doing this, you guys want to join me? You don't really see that in old school RuneScape, and that's one of like the most beautiful things I've seen in RuneScape Classic versus old school RuneScape versus RuneScape 3, you know? So those are basically the main differences I saw between RuneScape Classic and old school RuneScape as a RuneScape 2 veteran, as a RuneScape 3 quitter, and as a current old school RuneScape player.